and welcome to this week's episode of Board Game Blitz, a podcast about all things board games that you can listen to in less time than it takes to recover from eating a Carolina Reaper. Ooh, spicy! This week we'll be talking about games we've played recently, including 18xx games, Seasons, and Awesome Kingdom. We discuss an accessory that will help you stay cool when playing hot games, and we discuss a few hot games that we like. We'll then talk about the etymology of the word Shelfie, and we have an exciting announcement about a contest that we're holding. And now, here are your hosts,
Ambie,
Cassadi,
and me, Crystal. All right, Ambie, I want to hear about what you've been playing recently because it is something that greatly interests me that I have zero knowledge about.
All right, so recently I've really been getting into 18xx games. So these are economic games where you buy shares of railroad companies, and whoever has the most shares becomes the president of this company and operates it. But you're trying to get the most value of your own private money, which isn't necessarily the company's money, because you can also sell your shares and you no longer own the company. But then when you're operating the company, you build routes for the trains and you let them, you have them run through cities and get money, and they can pay out dividends to the shareholders, or they can keep the money and then their stock goes down. So when they pay out dividends, their stock goes up, and you're trying to get your stock up, and whatever stocks you have, you want a good stock portfolio and you want a bunch of money. So the rules aren't too complicated. Each 18xx game has different rules. The most famous one is 1830, and that one has a lot of rules on the stocks, and you can screw people over by selling stocks and then in a bad company, and then someone else becomes the president and they have a company that is bankrupt basically. But then there's other games, I've played 1889, which is a more beginner version, and then 1860 is a completely different type of game that's based more on the routes, and you want to get a really good route for your company, and then you build up your company and it will give you a lot of money. Yeah, so in 18xx games, the basic idea of the rules isn't too complicated, but then the decisions are where the complexity comes in, and the games can take a long time. Actually, I play pretty quickly. My group plays pretty quickly, so we've been playing them in 3 or 4 hours. But normally they can take 5 or more hours for a game. But the cool thing about 18xx games is that a lot of them have no luck in them at all. So if you make exactly the same decisions in each game, you'll play out the same game. But people never do that because you wouldn't be able to remember what you did. But yeah, it's really fun if you like stock manipulation and I guess route building. I like the route building part too. Then you might want to check it out.
Okay, so I tend to shy away from economic games for the most part. And this is, I know, not even close to comparable, probably. But, I really, really love Stockpile that came out last summer, which is about as light as stock manipulation games go. If I like something like Stockpile, and I'm okay playing some heavier games, how do you think... So it sounds like you said 1889 is the easiest of the 18xx games to get into?
So there are a couple ones. 1889 is the one that I've been playing that's easier. There's also 1846, I think. I haven't played that yet, but I think it actually was just reprinted. A lot of 18xx games are out of print, so they're hard to get, or you have to print and play them. So 1889, you have to print and play. And my friend did that, so we've been using his copy. And so it's easier to get into because it's a smaller map, so it's a shorter game, and the rules aren't super complicated. So in 1860, the rules are more complicated than 1889 or 1830.
Okay.
Yeah. But then, so in Stockpile, you don't really get to choose which stocks you're buying, right? You get, whatever is shown in you bid on which pile, but, the piles you don't really choose. So,
right.
In 18xx, you choose specifically which stocks you're buying. So it's I'm going to buy this stock, and whoever buys it first sets the price of the stock. So it's a lot more deliberate stock buying.
Okay, cool.
So I didn't play anything nearly as advanced or complicated as that. Recently, I played Seasons, which is one that I really enjoy playing. And I like it because it's very Magic the Gathering-esque in the sense that you're drafting in the beginning of the game before the game even really begins. The cards that you draft are going to be used to play through 3 years of the game. Each year is going to be 4 seasons, like real life, because seasons. So as you're playing through your years, you're gaining crystals by playing cards or by other people playing cards. And you're going to use those cards at the end of the game, which also will give you victory points. Your cards can help assist you in getting the resources you need to build more cards, but they can also be used to against your enemies to take things from them, including crystals and resources for you to be able to use your cards. So everybody's sort of drafting in the beginning, playing cards, taking turns. My favorite part of the game, though, is that you're rolling dice at the beginning of each turn to see, or at the beginning of each round, to see who will be, or to see what sorts of resources you'll be getting and how many places you'll go up towards the next season. So it's really interesting because it involves the drafting aspect that I really like of Magic the Gathering, but also the randomness of the die rolls each round. So it's interesting. I really enjoy it.
I've never played Seasons. Those dice look really cool. They're big and chunky, and they have neat symbols on them, right?
Yeah, so they're big and chunky, and there's 5 different die for each season. So they're color-coded depending on the season, and you get resources based off of which season you're in. So in winter, you're not going to be able to get any of the, green, the grass resource, because it's winter. So you sort of have to play to that, too, in knowing which resources you're going to need for your cards.
It's funny, I actually kind of get frustrated when people play this game near me, only because they say the word crystals a lot, and if I'm playing another game and I'm not really paying attention, I'll hear my name and I'll be like, what? Oh, nope, never mind. Literally on Thursday, a group was playing this game at a table next to the table I was playing at, and I, no less than 6 times, was like, huh? Oh, okay, never mind.
That sounds awful.
Yeah. It's all right. I like my name. I'll suffer through. So while Seasons was being played at a table near me, but not by you because you're across the country, I got suckered in to a game that I truthfully was not super keen on, but the guy who brought it was very enthusiastic, and so I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's try it. And that was Awesome Kingdom. I have a theory regarding the name of this game, which I will get to in a little bit. In Awesome Kingdom, it's a light dungeon crawling game where all of the players, it's by IDW Games. It was released last year, 2015. Plays with up to, I believe, 4 players. Everyone is a explorer in a dungeon. You get to choose one of 8 characters that all have mildly amusing names, such as Paladude. And each character has their own unique ability. Some of them are more helpful than others. The dungeon is made out of a circle of small tiles, and the number changes based on the number of players. And all of those tiles will have either a hero or a card in front of it, and those can make up the spaces of these dungeons. And on your those cards that are making up the dungeon consist of monsters, treasures, traps, and magic items. The gameplay takes place over 3 days, and each day has 3 rounds. During each round, players play an action card to move their hero around the circle of dungeon cards trying to claim some of them, especially the good ones, not the bad ones, obviously. All the cards have a point value, either positive or negative. Some of them have abilities that your character can use. You can gain wounds, which are negative points, and coins, which are positive points, but the coins are easier to steal than, the items, for instance. And whoever has the most points at the end of the 3rd day wins. It is heavily luck dependent. Each round, or each day, are given 3 action cards, and you have to play all 3 of them. And the variations on the action cards aren't that big. It'll say, move 4 spaces to the left, or move 1 space to the left or the right. So there's sometimes some decisions to be made, but if you do what's good for you in rounds 1 and 2, in that 3rd round you only have 1 card to play, so you don't have any options there, which I imagine, is to force you to potentially do bad things, but if people get lucky, then if they claim good stuff all 3 times, like, it's pretty easy to have a runaway winner, I would imagine, in this game based on luck. I actually ended up winning the game because of a card that I picked up that gave me the ability at the end of the game, for every character who had more points than me, that was above me, I gained 3 extra points. And the final scores before that card came into play were, I had 19, someone had 20, and someone had 23. So I gained 6 points as a result of that card and won, and it felt really cheap. This, as far as light games go, like dungeon crawling games, this isn't bad, but if I want to play a light dungeon crawling game, there are other games that I would rather go to, like Welcome to the Dungeon, for instance, or even Rumble in the Dungeon, which are both also light, both with a dungeon crawling theme, but just more enjoyable overall for me. So getting back to that theory I was mentioning earlier, I'm a marketing copywriter by day, and I always operate off of the the theory that if you have to say something, it is often not true. So when I heard the name of this game was Awesome Kingdom, I was like, well, let's see how awesome it actually is. And while it is not Horrible Kingdom by any means, I would say that a more accurate name for this game would probably be Mediocre Kingdom. Like, it's quick. It's enjoyable. It would be easy to teach to kids. Like, if you wanted a dungeon crawling game that was good for people who don't game often or younger kids, this, I think, would work well. So, and it's cheap. I think you can get it on Amazon for $15 or $20. I'm not sure what MSRP is, but for that price, it's really not bad. I was not a huge fan, but it's not a bad game. It's just simple, and there's a lot of randomness and luck in it. So if you like stuff like that, check out Awesome Kingdom. So when things are heating up in your game day, or it's hot outside, an easy way to cool off is with a beverage. So we're gonna, for our Accessory of the Week segment, talk about things that help you enjoy that beverage a little more easily or a little more safely while gaming.
So I don't actually have anything to protect my games from beverages. So I normally
dun dun.
Yeah, I normally just have the cups on a coaster to protect the table, and set it off to the side further away from the games.
I mentioned in one of our recent episodes that my gaming table has built-in cup holders, but they're not very deep. They're fairly shallow. So we've had a few spills on my poker table, which luckily the poker table cleans up well, and we've been able to like frantically grab game components away. I don't think I've had any games permanently damaged by liquid, so that's good. But I might want to look into investing into cups with lids, especially for those of my friends who imbibe a little more than they should at times during a rather raucous game night. Because I think, like, most of my friends are all of them are very courteous and nice, but occasionally when alcohol comes into play, I think, the klutziness factor goes up a little bit.
I can definitely attest to that one, since we play pretty regularly at bars or even at home. We always tend to overdo it with drinks. But I've seen a few games be pretty destroyed because of beer spillage. So yeah, but we play publicly, so it's kind of hard to bring in your own cup with a lid. And even at home, I really just use we do coasters, because everybody has to have their pint glasses for their beer, because nobody can drink beer out of their bottles anymore. Apparently that's not okay.
But also, pint glasses are more sturdy, I think, than bottles. So, it would be harder
absolutely.
to knock it down. So it's better to drink out of a pint glass than a bottle.
That's an interesting point, though. It's harder to tip, but if it does tip, I think the damage is
easier to spill.
Yeah, because if a bottle gets knocked over, you can kind of sometimes grab it quick enough that almost nothing comes out. But with the pint glass, man,
That's
whoosh.
true.
Over. Literally, game over.
In so many ways.
So we need to make a pint glass bottle.
A way to drink beer that's both pleasing to the mouth and also protective of your game components.
So not with a lid and a straw.
Yeah.
We'll have to get into product development to work on the perfect
sippy cups. Those are things I'm buying now. Sippy cups.
All right.
Beer sippy cups.
I do know that those exist for wine. Like if you look on Amazon, it's like a tumbler with like a wine glass shape inside of it, but it has a lid with like a little opening.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I mean, it's not the classiest, but hey, spilling wine on stuff can be like detrimental, so I think it's worth it. So our theme this week is hot, and we could take that in a few different directions. There are a few games that I think fit in with that theme for a number of different reasons. One that I own that I like quite a bit is Flashpoint, which is a cooperative game where you and all of the other players are firefighters attempting to put out a fire in a location and rescue survivors from the building before it collapses. And it's very thematic and it's a lot of fun. As far as co-op games go, it's one of my favorites. So it's definitely, and there's a lot of pressure there as far as the fire continues to build and grow, and sometimes it's just kind of really stressful, but I enjoy it quite a bit.
The one that comes to mind for me is Forbidden Desert, because, desert and sand and that sun beating down, it really gets to you after a while, right? So again, it's another co-op though. So apparently we like to burn together.
We do.
So
I say I live in the desert, so I kind of feel like I'm living that board game on a daily basis, just walking from.
So never play it. Just never play it. There's no reason.
Walking from my car to the building where I work, like it's not a short jaunt because parking at my office is very limited, and when it's 115 degrees outside, yeah, it feels like the sun's beating down for sure.
Wow.
Take that extra canteen of water.
Right?
Yeah, and then hot can also mean spicy hot if you want to go in that direction.
Taking it somewhere else.
Spicy.
Yeah. So there's a game called Scoville, which is about growing your own peppers. So the spicy food pepper type. And so you're like a farmer and you're making different colored peppers, and you can combine different colored peppers to make more different colors. So you start with red, blue, and yellow, and then you can combine red and blue to make a purple. Then there's a bunch of different combinations. There's a whole chart, but it's kind of interesting. There's a board with little pepper shapes cut out where your farmer walks around and puts your peppers down, and then you gather them and you try to get combinations of peppers to sell. So if you like spicy theme, then Scoville. I don't actually like spicy food, but
maybe that would be a way to trick somebody who likes spicy food into playing a board game.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a game about spicy food we know you want to play.
There's some other games that I know of that would also be considered hot, but that I haven't played, at least not recently. I know there's the classic nostalgia fix of Fireball Island, which basically has a giant volcano in the middle of the board, but it's essentially a roll and move game, so it's not really up to snuff with a lot of the modern board games, but I know since a lot of modern board gamers played it as a kid, that nostalgia factor plays in pretty high, so I think a lot of people still seek that game out, on eBay or whatnot.
Oh, and then another game with a giant volcano is the Downfall of Pompeii. So there's a big volcano and lava comes out. Well, not actually, but you're
Dude,
simulating.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, baking soda and
vinegar and
vinegar. Yeah.
red food coloring. Yeah, we're going back to second grade science projects here.
Yeah, but so you're trying to get all of your citizens out of the city, but then make other people's citizens get eaten by the volcano, and that you actually throw the meeples into the volcano. So that's kind of fun.
Anytime we get to do horrible things to meeples, that's a good day. So
actually physically hurting the meeples. Here you go, into the volcano.
We're meeple sadists here at Board Game Blitz. What can we say?
Let's just play a giant game of Rampage.
There you go. Oh man, has somebody made a big version of that
No,
game?
that would be amazing.
Life size.
Rampage.
I know this is, screw the theme. Why, we need to make a giant version of Rampage.
I think there's a
feel like
movie
It's
about that.
me to make all of those giant meeples.
Okay, so that kind of is thematic, though, because, like, there's dragons, and I feel like when you're doing the thing where you put your chin on top of them and blow, that's kind of like them breathing fire, so that's hot. I think it applies.
I think it's a stretch.
You have to give it to me. This week, our dive into board game etymology takes us to one of the most modern words that we'll probably ever look at in this segment, and it was suggested via email by Danica. So thank you, Danica, for your suggestion. We're going to be looking at the origins of the word Shelfie. Anyone who frequents board game forums online has likely seen quite a few shelfies, that is, pictures of game collections, often housed on bookshelves. Shelfie combines the words shelf and selfie. It seems that we as board gamers have kind of appropriated that word for ourselves, but it actually seems like bookworms had it first. The trend of taking pictures of collections of books started a number of years ago. The first instance of the word shelfie that I could find online officially, the word itself, was from November of 2013, which is on the Open Dictionary section of the Macmillan Online Dictionary. And that fits because I believe in 2013, selfie was added to the Oxford English Dictionary, and it was one of their, I don't know what they call it, the words of the year. So it seems like it would make sense for shelfie to kind of come about in that same time period, since that's when selfie was formally recognized. Modern words like selfie and shelfie can induce some eye rolls in people, I know, but it seems like a shelfie, whether you're taking a picture of your books or your board games, it can be a really interesting way to give like-minded people a snapshot of who you are as a person, or as a gamer, or as a reader. It's an easy way to connect with people, because if you look at someone else's shelfie and see they own a lot of the same games you do, it's an instant point of connection. And it's the same thing with books. If you see books that you love on someone else's shelf, it's an easy way to start a conversation. So as much as the word shelfie is a little bit odd and funny, I think that the concept is actually really cool, and it's an easy way for board gamers to get to know one another. And I will post a picture of my very own shelfie on our Facebook page and in our Board Game Geek Guild, so you can analyze my personal collection. And I know Ambie is getting ready for a move, so I don't know if she has a good shelfie, but Cassadi,
I can put one up.
if either one of you, yeah, like,
Totally.
we can show off our shelfies, and we invite our listeners, if you guys have a shelfie that you'd like to share with us, when we start that thread on Board Game Geek, please feel free to reply with your own shelfie, and maybe we'll find some common interests that we didn't know were there.
I'll post mine in September when I move.
Perfect. We have a very exciting announcement for everyone. We are going to be having a contest. All you have to do to enter our contest is email us at boardgameblitz@gmail.com with 3 ideas for future themes for episodes. Basically, we're lazy and we don't want to think of themes for, all of the upcoming episodes, even though we're new. This is a joke, obviously. But we thought that you guys as listeners would have some really interesting insight as to what we could discuss in future episodes. So we want to hear your theme ideas. If you want to include extra info, like what accessories or etymology or games might tie into that theme, feel free to throw those at us as well. But all you have to do is 3 theme ideas emailed to us, and then you need to either like our Facebook page, which if you search Board Game Blitz on Facebook, you should be able to find us. There's also links on our website, boardgameblitz.com, or join our Board Game Geek Guild, which, again, links to that are in the show description on our website, etc., etc. So email us 3 theme ideas, and either like us on Facebook or join our Board Game Geek Guild. And, okay, so you want to know what you're going to win, right? Is that important? I think that's maybe slightly important. we are going to be giving away a copy of the brand new Codenames Pictures. It is going to be one of the hottest games at Gen Con, for sure. We already know. So if you're looking for a copy of that game to add to your collection, make sure you enter our contest. The contest entries are due by August 25th. That is when we will be shutting down the contest, and we will announce the winner during our episode that will air on September 1st. So you've got a little bit of time to get those entries in, and we are looking forward to seeing all of your ideas for future themes.
And that's it for this week's Board Game Blitz. Visit our website, www.boardgameblitz.com, to get links to all our social media pages, including our Facebook, Twitter, and Board Game Geek Guild. Have suggestions or comments about the show? Shoot us an email at boardgameblitz@gmail.com. Until next time, 1 Blitz, 2 Blitz, Red Blitz, Blue Blitz. Bye, everyone!
Bye!
Each year you have 3 cards that you're going to draft at the beginning of the game that you get to use to assist you in gaining your victory points. Or actually, oh man, how did I forget how you win this game? So the victory points are on the cards themselves, the ones that you're playing, and I think that's it. Seriously, how did I just forget that, guys? I played this game a million times. So... yeah, so Seasons is one of my favorite games, and I totally forgot how you score points to win the game.
You can start over if you want. That's the magic of podcasting.
I think it's better this way. Just put me in those outtakes.